Senator from Texas.
Mr. President, I rise today to support Senator Marshall's resolution of disapproval of this outrageous rule. You know, I have to say, as I sat here on the Senate floor, I listened to my friend from Hawaii give his floor remarks. And as I listened to what he said, I wrote down some of what he said. He said, kids need to eat. He said, don't take the food away from children. And he said, don't drag children into the culture wars. And I have to admit, Mr. President, I felt like I was in Alice in Wonderland and that I'd gone through the looking glass, because I agree emphatically with all three of those statements. And for a moment there, I thought the senator from Hawaii had risen to give a speech in support of this resolution of disapproval. What is this issue about? Understand what it is about. It is Joe Biden and the Democrats who are taking food away from children. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has told schools, we will cut off your school lunch funding. We will take the food off of your plates and out of your mouths unless the schools comply with the Biden administration's radical transgender policies. It is Joe Biden and the Democrats, and every Democrat who votes in favor of this policy, who are saying, we are going to take food away from kids. Why? Because today's Democrat Party, feeding children, and mind you, we're talking about low-income kids, many of whom the only food they get that day, they get at school. And the Democrats are going to say, we're taking away your food. Why? Because today's Democrat Party is committed to the proposition that a boy who identifies as a girl should be allowed to use the girls' restroom, should be allowed to shower with teenage girls, even if the girls don't want it. That 10, 12, 14, 15-year-old girls should be forced to shower naked next to someone who is biologically male. This is not hypothetical. Members of the Judiciary Committee listened to the testimony of Riley Gaines, a national champion swimmer who was forced, under these same idiotic policies, to shower in a shower next to someone biologically male with full male equipment. She wasn't asked for her consent. I asked the women in this chamber, how many of you would be excited to be forced to shower with someone biologically of the opposite sex? Today's Democrat Party has embraced the radical and extremes, and when it comes to sports, their view also is that boys should be able to compete against girls in sports and men should be able to compete against women in sports. And this is happening all over the country. I believe in women's sports. I believe in girls' sports. I have 2 young daughters. Sports are amazing for girls to learn discipline and hard work and teamwork. Title IX has opened doors for young women to go to college. And yet the Democrats' extreme transgender ideology is destroying girls' sports and women's sports. This is not a matter of gender or gender identity. This is a matter of fairness. Anyone who is not consumed by ideology understands there's a difference between boys and girls. There are biological differences between boys and girls. There is a reason why recently in Canadian powerlifting, a biological male won women's powerlifting, beating the second-place competitor by, if I remember correctly, 463 pounds. It is not fair to force little girls to compete against biological boys. The Democrats don't care about fairness. They care about extreme ideology, and every Democrat who votes against this CRA is voting to take the food from hungry kids, because that's how radical they are in enforcing this policy. Mr. President, I urge every senator to vote aye.
Mr. President.